This book is basically a week-long, very human conversation between the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu about one big question. How do you find real joy in a world that's full of stress, injustice, and change? They're not talking about a quick mood boost. They're talking about a deep, stable joy that can sit alongside pain, grief, and bad news. So, the Book of Joy is literally two old friends, the Dalai Lama and Archbishop Desmond Tutu, hanging out for a week in Dharamsala, India, knowing this might be one of the last times they see each other. One is a Buddhist monk exiled from Tibet, the other a Christian archbishop who lived through apartheid, and both of them somehow radiate this lightness and laughter. The whole book is built around one question. In a changing, often painful world, how can we be genuinely joyful? And it's not a lecture, it's more like listening in on two wise grandparents teasing each other, telling stories and then dropping these really sharp insights about suffering, fear, and happiness. One of the first things they do is knock down the idea that a joyful life is a life without problems. Both of them have lived through exile, death threats, political violence, illness, and constant pressure. And yet, they insist that suffering is not the opposite of joy. Their key move is this. You usually can't control where the suffering shows up, but you can slowly learn to shape your response to it. Instead of why me, they encourage questions like, what can this teach me? And how can this connect me more deeply with other people who are also struggling? They talk a lot about how focusing only on yourself, your pain, your unfair situation, your anger, tends to amplify suffering. Shifting attention outward, towards other people's pain and how you can help, often softens your own hurt and opens the doors to compassion and, surprisingly, joy. Before they talk about how to build joy, they list the things that block it. They go through a whole catalogue of inner states we all recognize: fear and anxiety, stress and overwhelm, anger and frustration, sadness, grief and despair, loneliness and envy, the fear of illness and death. What's interesting is they keep emphasizing that most of this is an inside job. Yes, the world is messy. War, injustice, inequality, climate, all of it. But anger, hatred, and fear live in us as much as out there. Joy, for them, isn't about pretending those feelings don't exist. It's about learning to hold them differently, with more understanding and less self-attack. They also talk about mental immunity. Just like your body can build immunity to germs, your mind can build a kind of resilience to emotional shocks through habits like reflection, meditation, prayer, and compassion practice. The more you train your mind, the less every little thing knocks you over. The core framework of the book is the 8 pillars of joy. They split them into qualities of the mind and qualities of the heart. Qualities of the mind. Perspective. Being able to zoom out. The Dalai Lama keeps coming back to this. When you step back and see your situation in a wider context, across time, across other people's lives, the same problem looks smaller and more workable. Humility. Remembering you're not the center of the universe. Both of them joke about themselves a lot and are quick to make fun of their own egos. Humility, in their view, makes joy easier because you're not constantly defending an image of yourself. Humor. The ability to laugh at yourself and at life. The book is full of them cracking jokes, teasing each other and giggling like kids, even when they're talking about exile and apartheid. That playfulness is presented as a spiritual skill, not a trivial extra. Acceptance. Facing reality as it is, not as you wish it were. Acceptance doesn't mean passivity, it means clearly seeing what's happening so you can respond wisely, instead of wasting energy fighting the fact that this is the situation. Qualities of the heart. Forgiveness. Letting go of the demand for a different past. Tutu talks about the truth and reconciliation process in South Africa, and how, without some form of forgiveness, the whole country would be trapped in bitterness. Forgiveness is framed as something you do to free your own heart, not to excuse injustice. Gratitude. Noticing what's here, not just what's missing. They describe gratitude as a lens. The more you practice it, the more reasons you find to be thankful, even in small, ordinary things. Compassion. Feeling with others and wanting to help. The Dalai Lama calls compassion a core human value, not just a religious idea. Because we're social beings, our happiness is tied to the happiness of others. When you care beyond your own bubble, your life feels bigger and more meaningful. Generosity. Giving time, attention, and care. They emphasize that generosity is not just about money, It's about how you show up. Listening properly, being present, sharing what you can. That outward flow of kindness is one of the most reliable sources of joy they both know. Together, these 8 pillars are presented as a kind of inner architecture. The more you strengthen them, the more stable your joy becomes, even when life is hard. The book doesn't just give ideas, it also offers simple practices. Some are more Buddhist-flavored, like analytic meditation, where you sit and gently examine your thoughts and reactions, and some are more Christian, like prayer and daily examination of conscience. They talk about setting daily intentions, deciding in the morning what kind of person you want to be today, breathing exercises, and short meditations to calm the mind. Compassion practices, mentally putting yourself in someone else's shoes and wishing them well. Reflective habits like reviewing your day, noticing where you reacted from fear or ego, and where you acted from love. The point isn't to become a monk. It's to have a few small, regular habits that keep nudging your mind back towards perspective, gratitude, and compassion instead of automatic fear and anger. By the end, you realize the Book of Joy is less about how to feel happy all the time, and more about how to become the kind of person who can stay open-hearted, kind, and even playful in a difficult world. The big takeaways are: suffering is unavoidable. Being crushed by it isn't. Real joy comes from moving beyond self-obsession, through perspective, humility, humor, and acceptance. Joy deepens as you practice forgiveness, gratitude, compassion, and generosity, turning outward again and again towards others. And their final message is very simple. There is no fixed dark fate. We do. We're choosing whether we add a little more fear or a little more joy to the world, and to our own lives.